So I am in Akihabara, Nerd Central of Japan. And I'm here with Roschdi. It's Roschdi, right? Not Roschdi.
Yeah,
Roschdi.
So
he rushes D, he doesn't rush B. Yeah.
Yeah, like rush RUSH/DE. It's the easiest way.
So he sent me a message on YouTube on my line account. Oh man, when was that? Months ago? 5 months ago? 6 months ago?
I was in Canada.
Yeah, so it's probably about 6 months ago.
September.
Sent me a message and we've just been talking since then, but we met for the first time yesterday. Him and his girlfriend.
My wife.
Oh, sorry, now wife.
Yeah.
That's the reason I'm making the video today, because he got married about 2 weeks ago. He just signed the paper, and just going to ask him a few questions about the spouse visa, because I don't know anything about that. So you just want to tell us about yourself, a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been in Japan for now about 5 months. I'm actually about to go and extend my working holiday visa for the second 6 months next week. I came here, normal 6 months working holiday visa, and then afterwards, I got eventually married here, and now we're planning on extending my stay here under the spouse visa. I had my first job in Japan, and then I left that job because it was just insane. That's pretty much it.
Cool. So he's one of those. I've got a few friends who have got Japanese spouses, husbands and wives and spouses, but I've never actually asked any of them how the whole process goes. So what did you got to?
Marriage process?
Yeah. Like you sign the paper, and then what? Like you're going for the spouse visa. What do you got to do?
Yeah. So basically, most of all was just in Japanese, so I can't tell the Japanese version of it.
Okay.
But basically, for me, it really looked like, we signed a piece of paper. Like we went to the city hall first. We got the pieces of paper, like it's called the Konin Tohoke, something like that. Konin Tohoke.
I don't know.
It's like Konin Tohoke, I think. Konin Tohoke, something like that. Anyways, it's like basically the marriage paperwork you need to fill out. And then what you need to do is just fill it out. You need to get 2 witnesses that need to put their names, addresses, and they need to stamp they need to use the stamp, like what's the name? Hanko?
Hanko, yeah.
So
you have to have a hanko.
Yeah, so the witnesses have to put the information with the address, the hanko, and then we both needed to do that. And then for the rest, we just had to go to the city hall. Like there was no appointment, nothing. We went there on a Saturday. It was the weekend. We took a number, waited for our turn. We talked to the guy. He took the form. He basically asked us to correct some minor mistakes. And basically, if you make a mistake, you need to scratch it, and then you need to put a hanko straight there, and then you have to correct it right inside. It's
just like if you put a line through like an official document, you kind of need to put your initial next to the cross.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. You got to put your. Speaking of hanko, I've done a video on them before. It's just like a little stick with like a character on the end of the stick, and you dip it in the ink and then stamp your. You can register any old stamp to your name, but once you've registered, like that's your.
Yeah,
that's
it
your
costs
stamp.
about 4,000 yen.
Did you get yours?
Yeah, I got
like made for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
They ask you if you want it in hiragana or katakana or romaji. Like
you can just go to Daiso and just buy like 100 yen hanko, but you've got to look through all the freaking different kanji to find the one that's yours. But yeah, I got mine made up like you did. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Kawasaki Station, and then underneath Azeria they have like a small kiosk, and they make like a hanko.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. It took like a week.
Okay.
To get it done. Yeah.
And then you just got to register that hanko to your name. Like with bank accounts, I think banks that are like foreign friendly, you can just get away with a signature. I got away with a signature for my bank account, but once it came to like documents, like when I was doing my calligraphy and I was having direct debits come out of my bank account, then I needed a hanko. So yeah.
And speaking about banks, I've heard a lot of people saying that they weren't able to open bank accounts with a 6-month working holiday visa. Well, it's not true, because I was able to do that.
Because you have to, well, they told me at the bank you have to be in Japan for more than 6 months to open an account. And because we come here for 6 months at a time, it says you're only staying 6 months. But it wasn't until I showed her that I had 2 of the resident cards that she's like, all right, you've been here for more than 6 months and let me do it.
For me, it was like my first week, actually. I opened my account on my first week. I had just one Zaryu card, I showed it to them. And actually, my wife did the hardest part of the job. She was communicating with them in Japanese, and then I don't really know what she told them, but basically it was a regular process. It was just like, hey, you just came here, you need to open a bank account, and they did everything they needed to do. I got my check-in account, like the cash card, actually.
The cash card, yep.
And they gave me the Visa debit card, which we use also in Canada, like for PayPal stuff and all that stuff.
I didn't get one of them. Never had one.
And they also have like another card that you use separately for the mobile banking stuff. Yeah, it was all free.
I never got any of that.
Yeah.
I only ever had the cash card. It's like you can only use it at ATM to get money. You can't use it in store like FPOS, like swipe and put your PIN in. It's all just ATMs, yeah.
And it's very interesting because you can use your debit Visa card or your cash card as a proof of ID, like as an ID basically, because they write your name in Romaji in one of those cards, and in another card they write it in katakana.
Actually, the thing about Japanese bank cards as well, they don't expire. Like back home, you know, I'm with Commonwealth. My card expires like every 2 years.
Really?
Every 2 years they send me a new card in the mail. But here, there's no expiry on the cards.
I never checked that.
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah, there you go. 2021, yours expires. Yeah, but here you can, once you got it, it never expires. Your account never closes.
The cash one? Oh, the cash card doesn't have expiry date.
The cash card doesn't?
Oh, is it? Like 1611?
I think that was there might be something to do with the issue, when it was issued, I think.
Yeah, my name is in katakana.
Yeah, it was when it was issued, but no expiry date, so you don't have to worry. Like I was in Australia for over a year, came back, put my card in the thing, and still good to go. Still had money in there, so it was good.
Yeah, and by the way, if you want to try it out, if you have a decent level of Japanese speaking, you can go to MUFG. That's the bank that I opened an account with. The branch was in Kawasaki. You can go there and just talk to them normally. They'll be able to open your bank account.
What were the questions that I wrote down yesterday? I had some questions for you, like how to get a spouse visa. What kind of proof did you have to show them? Like what? Because they will ask for proof. So that you're not just faking it for the visa.
Yeah. So as far as I understand, there are two different explanations for the spouse visa application. One is in English, and it gives you like the short version of all what you need to provide in terms of documents, and we have another version that is a Japanese version, and you know, because Japanese people are more like
super friggin' long and
easy to go when it comes to explaining stuff in Japanese. They give you much more complete details about what you need to provide them with. And then I heard that the Japanese, like if you follow the Japanese way, the process will be much faster and much more accurate. If you go the English or foreign way, they might call you back and ask you to provide them with different, like other documents, which might lengthen the process.
Yeah, okay.
Because the process takes 3 months actually to get the spouse visa, between 4 weeks and 3 months. And if you go the English way, I've seen people go. You know, I've seen my boss was a guy from Morocco, and it took him 7 months.
Wow.
To get the spouse visa. Yeah, and if you're on a working holiday visa, there's a completely different process. Apparently, it's called like application for change of purpose of stay in Japan. And basically, if you apply for your spouse visa from outside of Japan, you need to apply for something that is called the certificate of eligibility, and it's documents that they will ask you basically the same things as a spouse visa may ask to be provided to them. And yeah, basically you can't go to Japan until you get your spouse visa, so your wife will have to do you know, the biggest part of the work for you from Japan. When it comes to the documents that we need to provide, I believe that one of the most important ones was to provide the what was the name of that document again? Marriage certificate. In Japan, it's called like the. Oh, I have a blank. Sorry. Yeah, it's Koseki Tohon. It's called Koseki Tohon. So you have to provide them with the Koseki Tohon, which shows your name in hiragana, in katakana and maji. I believe they ask for like 2-3 pictures of marriage, like that prove that you are in a marriage relationship. They ask for the addresses we've been both living at for the last year or something. So the thing is that's very interesting, because my wife and I have been living in Canada for the last year, and we have no address that we've been registered in Japan. So basically, my wife had to go to the city hall and she had to prove that she wasn't in Japan for the last year, which proves also that she wasn't entitled to pay the Japanese taxes, because they, by the way, they asked for that. And yeah, now it's all clear. Now we don't have to provide them with any sort of tax information or address information, because they know that both of us were in Canada last year.
Okay.
And I'm not sure about how it goes for other people that have been living in Japan for the couple of years before they got this spouse visa, but
I wonder how that'd go, because I lived in Osaka for a couple of years and I've paid my country tax, but in Japan they also have a city tax, which is a separate tax for the city you live in.
Osaka.
So yeah, so I had to pay the Osaka city tax. If you're on a working holiday, they don't, not for working holiday, but once you're on any other visa, they will start charging you tax to live in the city. And I still owe them about $2,000 in city tax, which I haven't paid.
2,000 yen or $2,000?
Dollars.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's about Nijuman, yeah. I did call up and check with them before I came here if I could even get in the country not having paid it, and they said as long as you've paid your country tax, you'll be fine. They said the city tax is not a big deal, but I wonder if one day if I went for a spouse visa, if they'd look into that I got the city tax and then nicked off out of the country. I wonder if they'd look into that and they wouldn't let me do it, I wonder.
Yeah. I think it would be fair to clear that out.
Of course, yeah.
So that you have no difficulty
I'm not
when
on
it
the
comes to
blacklist,
coming back to Japan.
I got to sort that out, but I don't have $2,000 at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, just blew it in the last 2 weeks being here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they just want to see a couple of pictures and maybe some message history.
Yeah, and I believe and they need your wife has to prove that she has enough savings to be able to contribute for your life cost while you're in Japan and while you don't have the right to work. Because some people apply for the spouse visa within Japan, and it means that they kind of apply for like a status change, and most of them that I heard of applied straight from a tourist visa to a spouse visa, and as tourists they weren't allowed to work, of course. So basically the government assumes that you don't have the right to work when it's time for you to apply for the spouse visa, and they require your spouse to provide them with the source of income. I think the last 3 months paychecks showing your salary, like your yearly income, all that stuff.
Can you just show them that in that little book you get when you open a bank account? What do you call it, the passbook or whatever it's called?
Passbook. I'm not sure.
Because when you open a bank account, you get a little book, and basically every time you go to an ATM, it gets recorded in your history. But then this book, you can put it into the
machines.
The machine, and actually, can you hold that? I'll get it out of my bag. I think I might have shown you this book in that video I made opening a bank account. I might have shown it to you already. I'll just pause it. Say that again.
Sorry if I was swearing.
I don't give a fucking shit. Yeah. I used to censor swearing because mainly because my mum was watching these videos, but eventually I stopped giving a shit. So
pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first time somebody holds the camera for Rhys.
It is. No one else holds the camera.
I've watched most of his videos. That's why I got his line ID.
So you get this book and it's got your name on it, like that, and then when you put it into the ATM, you can choose to update your book, and like there's all my financial history. Like this book's full, and it just shows what I've been doing for the last 3 years in Japan. Yeah. So I wonder if that would count towards showing them like your salary or.
So what my wife said is that.
Oh, by the way, this is my bank account number, so feel free to, put something in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So my wife said that she needed to provide them with a piece of paper that shows that she has. Actually, they don't ask for the proof that you have been depositing money into your account. They just need to see what the balance is.
Oh, okay.
And if you have a sufficient or like a decent amount to provide your spouse with the basic needs, whatever.
Well, it was the same thing when I extended my when I did my culture visa. I needed to show that I had 10 grand in savings, but I just got one of my mates, borrowed $10,000 off him, Hyakuman, 100,000 yen. No, sorry, 1 million yen. 1 million yen is about $10,000. I just borrowed $10,000 off him, put it in my account, printed out how much money I had in my account, withdrew it and just gave it back to him. And gave them that piece of paper and they're like, whatever, yep.
And in reality you had one yen.
Yeah, in reality I had about $100. I had about Ichiman.
Yeah, that's life in Japan, yeah.
Yeah, so, but yeah, it's fine. So can you do, it's just that they just look at the balance, not the history.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, so basically I've kept the money that I have in my account, and we're thinking about transferring my money to her account, and then she's gonna print out the piece of paper that shows her balance, and then we're gonna apply for the spouse visa. So that's pretty much what we're gonna do. And then it takes, so be careful, because you'll go to internet like as your first trial, you know, if you want to get this kind of information, but you'll see different informations everywhere online. And then if you call the immigration, because we called them, we spoke to a lady that has a very good level of English, and she gave us a very different procedure to follow. She said like, oh yeah, first of all it takes like 3 weeks for the spouse visa, and then she said all what you need to do is bring 3 pictures that you got married, and your kosekito hon, that shows that, you know, you're legally married in Japan and it's registered. But the form, when you take a look at the form, it doesn't say the same thing. And then the receptionist will always tell you the English way of how things happen. Because most of all, people, when they, you know, usually people don't really speak Japanese English at the immigration office. And when someone speaks English at the immigration office, they are actually immigrants. So they, like, people that speak English at the immigration office, they are from countries such as Philippines, Korea. They speak English.
I haven't spoken to anyone who speaks English at immigration, goddamn, especially when I came to extending my visa. Because I had my culture visa, went to extend that, and they kept telling me I couldn't extend in Japanese, and I was like, okay. But then they called me like 3 days before I was leaving the country, after I quit my job, sold my stuff, finished my lease, and they called me and they're like, oh, we made a mistake, you can. Because they were speaking it like the super polite Japanese, and I just gave it to my girlfriend and she translated it for me, and I could have. It's just that no one there speaks English, and she went there in person and ripped him a new one, and it was fantastic. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, so it costed you a plane ticket back to Australia.
Yeah, and I already had my plane ticket.
With no return visa to Japan.
Yeah, I wasn't starting from scratch again. I was like, fuck that, I'm going home.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. So it's, but all in all, it's pretty simple, you think, to get the spouse visa?
Yeah, it's pretty simple to get the spouse visa. Like, the process is very easy. I was really surprised. Actually, it takes as much time as it took me to get ready for my working holiday visa. My working holiday visa took like about a week and a half maximum to get everything done. Spouse visa is like very simple, easy stuff, paperwork. And gladly in Japan, paperwork are easy, so you don't have to, and you don't have to deal with most of all, because the Japanese part will deal with it.
You don't have to extend it or anything. Once you go to spouse visa, you go to spouse visa?
No, they give you a spouse visa for either 4, 5 or 10 years.
Oh, you do have to renew it?
And then you have to renew it, and then by renewing it, you just have to show them your previous Zaryu card, and then they'll be like, okay, sure, we'll give you the new one.
Called me, so my video stopped recording. I think it's about it for the spouse visa, is it? So if you got any questions about the spouse visa, you know, drop us a comment. I'm pretty shit at replying, so I check them infrequently. So anyway, anything you want to add to the end of that? No?
You have to go check his channel. It's Green TV.
Yeah, I gotta get back to that. They know about the podcast. And then next we're gonna do a video on the co-op visa and finding jobs. Alright, cool.